So this is the JBL Bar 700. It's basically a souped up JBL Bar 500, which also comes included with an external subwoofer. But what makes the 700 very interesting is that it has a detachable, and rechargeable satellite speakers. Now, JBL soundbars have always given you a very big bang for your buck, so let's see what JBL's surround sound system in the box is all about. Regarding pricing, the JBL Bar 700 has a retail price of $900, which is not bad given that this system does come included with an external subwoofer, and it also comes included with detachable and rechargeable satellite speakers. Now, just knowing JBL, I do expect this system to go on sale on a regular basis. Nonetheless, if you want to pick the system up, it'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, pick up a Big Head approved hat, linked down below. We've got trucker hats and snapbacks. By buying a hat, you help the unbiased and unsponsored videos coming, and it also helps us cover more products and produce more versus videos. Thank you to everyone who's already bought a hat, and look out for more designs coming soon. And also, please remember to hit that like button and let's get subscribed. Now, first, I do have to point out that the Bar 700 comes included and has to be used with an external subwoofer. Now, some people might be happy that this system comes included with an external subwoofer, but some people might not just want or have the space for an external subwoofer. So if you're looking for a fully self-contained sound system, then you might want to look at either, let's say, the Sony a5000 or the Sony a7000, or you can look at the Bose Smart Soundbar 900. But now let's talk about the design of this soundbar. And now the satellite speakers are magnetically attached to the soundbar itself. And if you want a really clean look, there are covers that you can attach on both the soundbar and the satellite speakers. But the satellite speakers themselves just connect wirelessly to the soundbar. You can place them wherever you want, and they have a battery life advertised at 10 hours. And in order to charge the satellite speakers, you can either attach them back on to the soundbar itself, or you can charge them via their built-in USB-C port. Now, with the satellite speakers attached, the 700 has a length of 46 inches, a width of 4.7 inches, a height of 2.2 inches, and it weighs in at 10 pounds. So the 700 is a relatively long soundbar, but it isn't huge or super heavy like with some other soundbars out there. Now, this soundbar is also using matte black plastic, so it does a really good job of not creating any reflections, so it disappears when you're watching movies. And there's also a built-in screen and physical buttons up top. The only thing is you can't deactivate these buttons, which could be a problem if you have a kid in the house. Now, the Bar 700 also comes included with a wall mounting kit, and given that this soundbar isn't super heavy and there also isn't a power brick that you have to worry about hiding, wall mounting this soundbar is relatively easy. And even if you're not planning on wall mounting this soundbar, just not having an external power brick to worry about just gives this soundbar a cleaner look in your home theater setup. But also, like I mentioned earlier, the Bar 700 does come included with an external subwoofer. Now, this external subwoofer also doesn't have an external power brick that you have to worry about, which is good. And this subwoofer is completely wireless, so you can place it wherever you want and is going to automatically connect to the soundbar. The only thing is, this subwoofer does have a footprint of 12 by 12 and a height of 17.3 inches. So placing this subwoofer can be a bit of a challenge. Now, when it comes to ports, there's an HDMI eARC port which goes connected to your TV, and the soundbar comes included with a decent HDMI cable. There's also an HDMI in port which supports 4K, HDR10, and Dolby Vision. So if you have a Blu-ray player or a gaming console, you can always plug it into that. And if for some reason your TV doesn't have an HDMI ARC port, the soundbar still has an optical port. But there's also an Ethernet port, which is rather rare for soundbars these days. So if you want to hardwire this soundbar into your network, you can also do that. And there's also a USB-A port, so you can always plug in a USB stick and play music off of it. But if you want to, you can always connect the soundbar up to your Wi-Fi network, and I recommend that you do so that you can get the most out of it. Now, the soundbar has support for both AirPlay 2 and Chromecast, so whether you're an iPhone or an Android user, you can always stream music to it as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi network as this soundbar. But the soundbar also has Bluetooth, so you can always still connect to it without needing Wi-Fi. Now, this soundbar also comes included with a decent remote control with really good tactile clicky buttons, but personally I never use the controls on my soundbars, and instead I just prefer to use their app. And thankfully, JBL now has a sleek app for their soundbars. Now from here, you can easily adjust the EQ on this soundbar to your liking. You can also easily do an audio calibration, and you can delay the audio sync if you have to. But also from here, you have access to your remote control, where you can toggle your source, adjust the volume, and adjust your Dolby Atmos settings. But now let's talk about sound. When it comes to speaker setups, the Bar 700 has a total of 5 speakers in it. 3 are located in the soundbar itself, and each satellite has 1 speaker in it as well. And the main soundbar itself has 3 built-in tweeters. The middle one shoots out of the front, and the other 2 shoot out the sides a little bit. And like I mentioned earlier, the soundbar itself does not create any bass. All of the bass is handled by the external 10-inch subwoofer. But now we're going to jump into the sound test. The Bar 700 is playing at 75% volume, and we're going to be using it with its satellite speakers attached and detached. And we're also going to be using the built-in speakers found in the 2023 Sony Bravia X90L TV, and those speakers are going to be playing at max volume.
Take me up to heaven. Yeah, she got me reaching still. Nothing to stop me falling. Who knew that love could kill? I don't wonder why I'm breathing heavy like the weight of it's on my chest. On my chest. Cause it ain't no lie, I need it more than any metaphor could express. Kill. Maybe I'll die tomorrow, but I'll be reaching still. Cause it's a feeling I can't let go. Can't kill. Maybe I die tomorrow. 1 foot on the ladder. Yeah, you know she got me climbing still. Nothing to stop me falling, oh. Who knew that love could kill? I don't wonder why I'm breathing heavy like the weight of it's on my chest. On my chest, cause it ain't no lie, I need it more than any metaphor could express. Maybe I'll die tomorrow, cause it's a feeling I can't let go.
So, like you may have just heard, obviously a soundbar is going to sound better than your TV's built-in speakers. Your TV most likely just has a pair of downward-firing speakers that bounce sound off of the table. If it isn't wall-mounted, they don't get all that loud, and their bass gets really distorted when the bass really gets going. Now, the speakers on the Sony X90L get decently loud, and distortion isn't a big problem for them like with some more affordable TVs out there, but still, even with the Sony X90L, you're going to want to upgrade to a soundbar if you want to fully enjoy your movies. Now first, let's talk about the max volume performance of this system. Now, the Bar 700 is going to get plenty loud for a large living room. The external subwoofer on this system is going to rattle the walls in your house. This is also a good system if you're looking for something to entertain guests with in the living room. And plainly said, this system is just overkill for any bedroom. Now, as for the bass on this system, like I mentioned earlier, all of the bass is handled by the external subwoofer, and this external subwoofer is the same one that you will get with the JBL Bar 500. Now, overall, this subwoofer is going to allow you to physically feel what's happening on the screen, and it is going to rattle the walls in your house. However, sometimes I can't help but feel that the bass coming out of the subwoofer can sometimes be a little muddy, and sometimes I do wish that this subwoofer put out more bass just given its sheer size. Now you can always go in and raise the bass on this system and you're going to get more bass, but I still wish that it was a little more. Plus this bass isn't as precise or as controlled as with some other subwoofers out there. And if you were to raise the bass too much on the system, sometimes it can start to sound a little overly warm, as in the bass is going to overpower the vocals coming out of this soundbar. Now, when it comes to the overall sound quality of this soundbar, the 700 has a very balanced sound signature to it, but more importantly, the 700 has much better left and right channel separation than with both the 500 and 300, because with both the JBL Bar 500 and 300, they have all of their main speakers here in the middle of the soundbar, whereas with the 700, you got one speaker here, here, and here. And you've also got the satellite speakers, which you can either place behind you or you can attach them to the soundbar itself. But the very important thing is that if you do decide to detach the satellite speakers, it is recommended that you go through the audio calibration every time, unless you're going to be placing your satellite speakers in the exact same spot every single time. The only thing that I don't like about these satellite speakers is that sometimes it can be a little hard to actually see the battery percentage of the satellite speakers. The only thing that you get is just an indicator light here on the front of the satellite speakers. Unfortunately, the app itself doesn't tell you your current battery status. So hopefully they can add that through a future software update. But what you can do though is that through the app is that you can adjust the intensity of your satellite speakers. And for the most noticeable effect, you want to crank it all the way up. But with all that being said, the JBL Bar 700 is a great surround sound system in a box that gives you a very big bang for your buck. Now, yes, this system does come included with a rather large external subwoofer, but since it is wireless, placing it is relatively easy, just as long as you have the space. But the important thing is here, the Bar 700 gives you the option of having a surround sound system without any fuss. Now, yes, there are plenty of other satellite speakers out there, and they're wireless, but you always have to worry about wiring them up to power. Whereas with the Bar 700, if you're going to watch a movie and you want surround sound, all you gotta do is just detach your satellite speaker, you place it down, you watch your movie, and once you're done, you just put them back into the soundbar, they'll charge up, and they'll be ready for you the next time that you're going to watch a movie. If you made it this far, I guess you enjoyed the video, so hit the like button and get subscribed. If you want to pick any of the products up, they'll be linked down below. And if you want to further support the channel, check out the merch. I made some shirts and hoodies that look and feel great. And you know I can be very particular, so I'll only slap my name on something if I'm really proud of it.